This vignette comes to us from the webinar called Learning Open Educational Resources. In it, Dr. David Wiley starts to talk to us about how to find these resources. How do we find open educational resources? Dr. Wiley, you tell me when you want me to change that slide and I'll do it, and you just do the talking.
Great, thank you. And thanks again for having the two of us here. Finding open educational resources actually turns out to be a lot simpler than you might imagine that it is. If you'll move to the next slide for us here, Daryl. I imagine that every single person on the call is familiar with Google. And I've got some screenshots here just to walk you through how to use Google to find open educational resources. It can be tempting to want to go to a place that's dedicated specifically to open educational resources and think that they will have pulled and harvested all the material in the world together in one place. But, of course, it turns out that there's not quite anybody that harvests all the material in the world quite like Google does. Here I've done a search for biology, and I've scrolled down to the bottom of the page. And you can see there's some results for biology there, but I've got a big red arrow pointing at advanced search at the bottom. And the way that you use Google to search for open educational resources is to type in whatever you're looking for, scroll down to the bottom here, and click on that advanced search button. Now, Daryl, so take us to the next slide. When you hit that advanced search button, you're going to see a screen that has a lot of controls on it that will let you express things like whether you're just looking for several words or those words all in the exact phrase. If you scroll to the bottom of that, you'll see a bunch of filters where you can narrow your search results by language, by region that it came from, by last time it was updated. But at the very, very bottom, the last one you'll see is you can narrow your search results by usage rights. That's where the big red arrow is pointing again. And if you'll give us the next slide, Daryl, you'll see that when you click on that box next to it, which currently reads not filtered by license, if you click on that box, it will give you a whole variety of choices which correspond directly to the Creative Commons licenses. So you can say, I want to search all the material Google knows about biology, but only the material that's licensed in a way that's free for me to use and share, or free for me to use and share even commercially, or free for me to use, share, or modify, etc. So I can use Google to search just the subset of the web that is licensed with a Creative Commons license. And the way you'll know that that's succeeding, if you hit the next slide here, Daryl, the way that you'll know that your search has succeeded is at the top of the search results on the Google page, you'll see this blue box here that says you are searching only pages that are free to use, share, or modify. Now, that's really all there is to it. And Cable can talk more directly to this. He might want to jump in here. But there are currently over 500 million items, over 500 million items on the web that we would consider open educational resources because they use a Creative Commons license. And Google, and there are other search engines as well. My preference is Google, but you can do something similar on other search engines. But the Creative Commons licenses, the open education movement, has become so important that Google actually directly supports it now and will allow you, as we've just seen, to search only the subset of the Internet that uses Creative Commons licenses. So next time you're looking for an open educational resource on a certain topic, you're looking for a textbook, or you're looking for a tutorial on how to do a certain kind of stitch on a sewing machine, you go throw those keywords in, go down to the bottom, hit advanced search, go to the bottom of the next screen, and filter by usage rights, and everything that you get back from Google will be an open educational resource. And you'll know that that's true because at the top of the page on Google, it'll say you're searching only pages that are free to use, share, or modify. And you'll also know when you get to that page, when you click on the result and you go over to the link, you will see somewhere on the page a statement or maybe even the little green icon that has the Creative Commons button. And most other search engines, Cable, jump in here. I know that Yahoo used to have something like this. I don't know, does Bing have a feature where you can search just by Creative Commons?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I haven't looked at their latest rev, but it does bring up a good point. Bing, Yahoo, and Google have all joined together and really asked the question, how do we make search easier and a better experience for everybody? And in fact, believe it or not, they're collaborating on a project. It's called schema.org. And the gist of it is, if I'm looking for news, wouldn't it be nice if I had some additional options on the left navigation bar? Or if I'm looking for, maybe Creative Commons openly licensed works, or if I'm looking for recipes, what additional information might I want to sort? And so, in fact, we're working with those three big engines right now to help all the people who are building educational resources out in the world put metadata or information about their objects. So, for example, let's say that David wrote a textbook and it was for sixth grade math. Some of the metadata might be, this is for the sixth grade, it's written in English, it's math related, it has to do with geometry or whatever the information is, and then that could be part of your search filter. So the point being is that the engines are very interested in this whole open educational resources movement and trying to make it easier for you to find what you're looking for.
Probably, thinking about, it looks like it's pretty straightforward to search for OERs using Google this way. But I guess the one thing I would warn you about in terms of making mistakes, if you're out searching for open educational resources, would be it's quite easy to do this search, to click the link, to click the result on Google and go to a second page, and then from that page click a link and end up somewhere else that isn't a result that Google gave you, that Google was telling you was openly licensed, and to think that material is openly licensed as well. So you want to follow this process that we just showed you for Google as you're searching for openly licensed materials. But when you do land on the page or you land on a piece of content that you want to use, you want to exercise your rights under the open license in some way, you should always double check that you yourself can find on that page somewhere the statement of the open license. Don't always just automatically take Google's word for it. But when you get to that results page, do look and confirm that you can see somewhere at the top or at the bottom that there is a Creative Commons license.